Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? It's Jeff. So we had another plane crash in Philadelphia last night, or yeah, I guess it was last night. So many things have happened since then that's also in the news that seems to overshadow this. But what the hell? It was a Learjet. What do they call them? Trying to think here what that yeah, it's a Learjet 55. It's a small jet, but it left Northeast Philadelphia Airport, was headed for Springfield Branson National Airport, and it was supposed to stop in Missouri before traveling to its final destination in Tijuana, Mexico. And a girl was returning to Mexico after she got treatment for a life-threatening illness in the United States, and was among the 6 people on board the flight who died. The girl's mother, pilot, co-pilot, doctor, and paramedic were also on board. And when the plane went down, it killed somebody on the ground and caused huge fire in the neighborhood, where a whole bunch of houses caught fire. What a mess it was. It crashed right near the intersection of Roosevelt Boulevard and Cottman Avenue. A lot of videos were obtained, and you could find a lot of them on YouTube. A lot of people recorded it, you know. Let's see. The plane, they said that they were having issues. It says, unlike the mid-air collision in Washington that happened Wednesday night, where adverse weather conditions were not present, inclement weather will likely be a key factor in the investigation into this small plane crash in Philadelphia. Quote, light rain and fog were reported in northeast Philadelphia at the time of the crash. Visibility at the surface was 5 to 7 miles. The base layer of clouds was 400 to 600 feet above the ground. Winds from the southwest at 10 miles per hour reported in the area at the time of the crash. Weather conditions are a critical factor that investigators review after the plane crash. Of course, it is unclear Friday's night rainy, foggy weather was a direct factor in it. But it is a factor, I guess. Apparently, they call these. I'm sorry, I'm just reading segments here because I can't waste the time to read the whole goddamn thing here. I was going through all of this here in pieces here, just grabbing what's more important. There were like 87 accidents involving these kind of planes. They call them air ambulances in the United States from 2000 to 2020, resulting in 230 deaths, according to a study in the journal Pre-Hospital and Disaster Medicine. Nearly 3/4 of those accidents were on helicopters. Human factors that can include pilot error, disorientation, impairment, and fatigue contributed to 87% of the fatal crashes. But this Philadelphia crash was the second fatal incident in 15 months for jet rescue. In 2023, 5 crew members were killed when their plane overran a runway in the central Mexican state of Morelos and crashed into a hillside. So apparently, you know, these air ambulances here are, you know, either they're overworked or whatever, you know, what do you want to call it? But they crash a lot, I guess. But it's really sad because, you know, like I said, there was a person on there who had just gotten treated for an illness and was going home, and this happens. You know, I mean, it's impossible to understand how, you know, this is, you know, happening. And, you know, of course, we go right back to the argument I made in the last video about Trump, you know, having, you know, gotten rid of all these FAA and people and stuff like that. Does that have anything to do with that? I don't know. Again, I can't say for sure. They haven't got enough information about that to say if there's any. In my personal opinion, I don't think it was. This was a small jet, and it crashed. I mean, the video showed the plane actually nose diving into the ground. So that to me looks to me like some kind of mechanical error that was going on in the plane to have it do something like that, because no pilot's going to bank that thing into a nosedive into the pavement, okay? Unless there was something wrong with the ailerons or something like that. So it could be mechanical failure that caused that crash. I don't know, but it doesn't sound like something to do with the FAA or anything like that. Anyway, I have a video here, and the video isn't about this plane crash, but it's from Ben Meiselas, and he's talking about the inflation bomb that has been set off by Trump. It was predicted by 16 Nobel Prize economists, experts, okay, before the election. They said that his plan was going to do exactly what's happening right now. And so let's go to that video, and we'll discuss on the other side here.
16 Nobel Prize-winning economists are predicting that a Trump victory would set off what they call an inflation bomb. They say it would cause lasting harm to the global economy.
That video was from June of 2024. So I'm shocked. I'm shocked, I tell you, that now Trump voters are learning that they are screwed, that these tariffs that Donald Trump's imposing on Mexico and Canada and Europe and Asia and basically everywhere. When Donald Trump gets bad, he imposes a tariff. And guess what? It's an economy killer. It's causing prices in the United States to skyrocket once again. It's inflationary. You know why? Because tariffs are inherently inflationary. They are a tax on United States corporations that are importing things, and they pass on the cost to consumers by increasing their prices. Also, it results in retaliatory tariffs by foreign countries, making the overall economic situation very, very grim. You didn't have to be a Nobel economist to see this coming, but 16 Nobel economists during the election did say that Trump would cause a, quote, inflation bomb. But I guess corporate media told us that we weren't supposed to listen to experts. And I guess the MAGA Republicans have made experts like a curse word to even say the experts feel a certain way. So for whatever reason, voters didn't listen to them. Trump voters were like, that ain't going to happen. Let's tariff them and let's tariff them. Well, the inflation bomb has now come to our shores. Like a miracle, it ain't going away. And just take a look right here. If you could even get some groceries right now, because if you're going to grocery stores and you're trying to get eggs, to the extent you can even find them, the prices have reached all-time highs. Gas prices are going up. Coffee prices are going up, reaching an all-time high. We're seeing the automobile industry tanked down massive amounts on Friday after Trump said, nope, these tariffs are definitely coming. And when you just listen to some of these Trump voters, and they're all on their conservative message boards trying to scramble and figure this out, and people are like, the F word. I hope they get a deal worked out with Canada and Mexico. This is going to wreak havoc on everything. Hold on to your butts, everyone. This is going to be bad. Why? Tariffs are now taxing, or tariffs are taxes on Americans. This isn't what I vote for. This is what you voted for. We kept on saying it over and over again. When Donald Trump said America is at its wealthiest in the 1800s, we need to go back to 1870. I was telling you, we're not at our wealthiest back then. By the way, Trump is still saying that now, that that's when we were at our wealthiest. Here, play this clip.
Money. Our country was at its richest from 1870 to 1913. We had the most. That was when we were the richest, relatively speaking. We were the richest during that period of time. That was tariffs from other countries.
People saying things like this: "You've changed, Donald. F you." It's from some of the Trump voters. You have another Trump voter saying, "You know, I like the Don, but I'm starting to get a bit worried about him. He's starting to act more like a dictator than a leader. Why does he think that threatening everybody is going to work? Is it just the America way, or is he power tripping? I hope not, because he's actually in a unique position to do some good, not only in the U.S., but the world." He's not going to do good. Do we realize what's happened over the past 2 weeks? America objectively has never been weaker. We've lost essentially all of our alliances. Our adversaries are in a stronger position than ever. Prices are not going down here. Our federal government is a mess. There were 2 plane crashes this past week, one taking the life of 67 people as the tower control didn't have the appropriate staff, as the head of the FAA was pushed out and constructively discharged, meaning essentially fired, as Trump's gutted all the key safety committees, as Donald Trump has utterly destroyed the federal government, and now there's just complete and total chaos within the government, as there was and there still is, just no one knows what's even happening. Is there a government freeze? What types of government aid can people access or not? It's like the worst situation possible, and the only people who are loving this are the broligarchs, the oligarchs. They're loving this right now. You're seeing headlines like this: Trump tariffs stoke U.S. food inflation despite pledge to lower costs. Y'all are still doing this, Reuters. You're still printing the pledge was to lower costs. Donald Trump lies about everything. His pledge was a lie. He said that he was going to bring down costs on day one, he said. Remember that? Let me play this for you. He said day one. Play the clip.
Starting on day one of my new administration, we will end inflation and we will make America affordable again, because the prices are too high. The prices are too high.
Well, now, and we warned you. We said, no, that wasn't going to happen. Business shoppers brace for higher prices, NPR. Oil ticks up after hours on tariffs. Egg prices shoot up even more. Oh, by the way, there's Elon Musk dancing in his Wario outfit. The billionaires, the oligarchs, they think this is one big joke. As we, the people, suffer. Do you feel, let me ask you this, do you feel safe right now? Do you feel, in Trump's America, for real, do you feel safe? Would you want to, put this in the comments. Would you want to get on an airplane right now in Trump's America? I hate to say this, but he's broken the government. These are key positions. Donald Trump has caused a crash in the American auto industry with tariffs on Mexico and Canada. This is what the media was saying, though. For a brief second, the media was like, we're so back. We're back. We've got the access that we want. But by the end of these press conferences, the media is saying WTF. About 63% of all of our vegetables come from Mexico. When we look at fruits and nuts, about 50% come from there. If we look at Canada, most of the meat that we consume comes from Canada as well. A study this month by Warwick McGibbon and Marcus Nolan of the Peterson Institute for International Economics concluded that the 25% on Canada and Mexico tariffs and the 10% on China would damage everybody's economies involved. Consumers can now expect to see price increases on everything: avocados, berries, tequila, beer, cooking oil, meat, and meat products. And consumers should brace for higher prices at the pump. By the way, are there going to be more plane crashes? Well, in 1 week, we're seeing 2 plane crashes with the United States military Black Hawk copter. By the way, that's under Pete Hegseth's line of command. Can you imagine if Biden was in office? But you get the point. By the way, the firefighters in Utah they showed up to the Utah Senate as their Republican Senate voted to take away their collective bargaining rights. The National Labor Relations Board has been gutted by Donald Trump. So all those unions who voted for Donald Trump, union workers, the head of the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, who's been like kissing Trump's ass, excuse my language, screwed over his rank and file. The National Labor Relations Board is gutted. Unions won't be able to be recognized. Grievances won't be heard ever. Trump's using the FCC to destroy media that he doesn't like, that the FCC regulates. Also, the Federal Agents Union that represents the FBI agents, they're pissed because Trump's fired any FBI agent who was involved in a January 6th case. And this is after the FBI agent union supported or said very nice things about all of Trump's new acting FBI heads, who then turned around and fired them all. And we're just hearing these stories about leopard eating faces, F around and find out all over. Here's another one here. My cousin got let go and now my family is mad because I voted for it to happen. My cousin works at the VA as a specialized doctor and today got the letter to resign and get her pay through September. Because of this, I became an immediate target by my family because I voted for this to happen. I mean, as I'm watching all these people who are voting against their own interest over and over again, they screwed themselves. They screwed everybody else in this country. And these tariffs are going to hit everybody really, really hard. I mean, all Trump had to do was basically nothing. Could have just played golf, took credit for Biden's economy, put it on autopilot is all he had to do. But he's a maniac. He's literally a psychotic human being. Effed around and found out. Unfortunately, all of us have to feel that pain too. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million.
So, yeah, this is crazy that everything's being hit now, and it's concerning the rest of the world because what he's doing here is he's not. This isn't just confined into our country. This is something that's affecting other countries. Okay, by putting tariffs all over the place. Okay, that's affecting economies in different countries as well. I went over that a few videos back about how, Canada responding to Trump's tariffs by implementing tariffs of their own is not going to help them any more than what Trump's doing. Okay, and Mexico doing the same won't help Mexico. This is only going to backfire on everybody that wants to fight back using the same bullshit tactic Trump is using to attack them. The only people who benefit out of this are the wealthy. All right, because it'll force all the populations to spend more than they should for things, as if we weren't spending enough already. We're going to be spending that much more, while the wealthy are collecting all the money, because the governments are supposedly at war with each other. But, how can they possibly be at war with each other when there's people making money off of it? Okay? I mean, this is like some kind of fiasco that Russia would pull. They're fighting this war right now in Ukraine only because fat cats are getting fatter over there from the war profiteering. Okay? All the shit that they're doing, they're sacrificing lives out there, but they're making money for weapons and stuff like that. They're pocketing all that shit. That's the only reason why this war goes on. Okay, between Russia and Ukraine, it's just as corrupt over there as it is here. All right, so that war ain't gonna stop. I mean, that's the reason why they kept fighting in Afghanistan way back when. Okay, when it was the Soviet Union, war profiteers, they kept that fucking animal going, and they wouldn't stop it. So, that this argument here that Trump said about, we were the wealthiest in 1870 to 1913. Really? Well, if that's true, I mean, when did the Great Depression start? I mean, it's like, because as far as I can gather, I mean, this boom that was going on prior to the Depression, by some measure, had something to do with the Depression. And why was that? It's because at that time, the rich were ripping everybody off, and it was capitalism out of control, just like it is now. Okay. So, you know, when the rich are getting wealthier beyond belief, as like I said just a minute ago, just as they are now, that's when things, you know, begin to start shaking. That's when the foundations of our country begin to crack. Okay, because we the people, we the government, are the ones losing our money to the rich. We're giving them our money. Okay, all the time giving the wealthy our money that we work hard for. Every time we buy something, anytime we pay our taxes and stuff. Okay, corporate welfare, you know, for the businesses. Okay, what is that? That's our money going into their pockets. Did we ask them to do that? No, but it's being done. Okay, but that's what's going on. They're taking our fucking money and they're pocketing it. And so as we work, and they try to pay us little as possible, okay? They don't want to hear about wage increases. They certainly don't want to hear about people complaining about prices and things like that. No. Now, if you live in this country, you must be a victim. You have to be a victim of capitalism. Doesn't matter if you're a Republican. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. You just have to be an American, and you are a victim. We're all victims. Okay, we are all victims of capitalism in this country. We just don't know it. You know, we feel like we're living, you know, well and everything, but we're not. We could be better. We could be. For a country that people say is the wealthiest on the planet, we could be living a lot better than we are. We could have fewer problems than we have right now. But it takes money to deal with some of those issues. And because we can't deal with them, that means we don't have the money. And if we don't have the money, that means too many people have the money, not enough of us, the rest of us have. Okay, so where is that money? It's at the fucking top 1% that are bitching that they got to pay too much in taxes. You know, give me a fucking break. You know, some of these families go back generations when the tax rate on them was 10 times, 50 times, 90 times higher than it is on them now. And yet they were still wealthy. They were still considered the rich, the top of the income bracket. But oh, no, we're not going to be taxed at 90%. No. No, they're still bitching. Even if they got to pay 1%, they're still bitching. You know, it's too bad we can't bitch and not pay as much, right? But no, For the poor people, there is no bitch. You bitch, you're going to prison. You will pay, you know, or we're going to lock your ass up. Jeez, I mean, if only we could be that strict on the wealthy in this country. Jesus. But that, you know, that's a problem there of a different side. But the thing is that, you know, as Trump here is, you know, messing around with the government, trying to get rid of anything that can hold him accountable for things that he does that are wrong. Okay, the rest of us, we're sitting here scratching our head, getting mad, a lot of us boiling mad, saying, why isn't Congress or somebody out there saying, let's draft up some articles of impeachment here, or why isn't anyone trying to put a stop? Everything that he's been doing so far has been categorized as illegal. How many illegal things does he have to do before people say, okay, let's do something? You know? Do you realize that if we sit back and let this go on, you know, the damage he could do could make it impossible to impeach him? I mean, it's almost kind of like that now. Okay, since he's got you know, a lot of people worried here. Let me bring this up here. Where's this article here? Fuck. New. Okay. Yeah, this here come out yesterday, was it? Yeah, yesterday. CBS staff is alarmed by reports of settlement talks with Donald Trump over 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris. Yeah, he's still bitching about that fucking interview. Even after he's won the election, he's still bitching. Journalists, including some at CBS News, are expressing alarm at reports that CBS parent company Paramount Global is trying to settle a legally dubious lawsuit lodged by President Trump last fall. Trump sued CBS after an October 60 Minutes interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump's opponent in the presidential campaign included an edit that Trump said was unfairly favorable to Harris. Despite legal experts' widespread assertion that CBS's editorial judgment was protected by the First Amendment, the New York Times Thursday night reported that a settlement was in the works. That sparked outrage in CBS's newsroom. Quote, Trump's lawsuit was a joke, but if we settle, we become the laughingstock, unquote, a CBS correspondent said on condition of anonymity. Wonder who that would have been. CBS in October called the suit meritless and said at the time, quote, we will vigorously defend it against it, unquote. A Paramount spokesperson on Friday declined to comment. A lawyer for Trump, Edward Paltzik, did not immediately respond to a request for comment, but he told the Times that, quote, real accountability for CBS and Paramount will ensure that the president is compensated for the harm done to him, unquote. He just unzipped his fly here. The Times noted that, quote, a settlement would be an extraordinary concession by a major U.S. media company to a sitting president, especially in a case in which there is no evidence that the network got facts wrong or damaged the plaintiff's reputation, unquote. Well, now that you got the goddamn president saying old harm was done to him, he just admitted right there. Indeed, a settlement by Paramount could look like a payoff. Specifically, it would look like a big check to Trump for his presidential library following in ABC and Meta's footsteps in exchange for regulatory approval of Paramount's pending deal with Skydance Media. Quote, that's called a bribe, unquote, Richard Painter, a former White House ethics lawyer for President George W. Bush, commented on X. Is it the cost of doing business in the Trump era? Some business leaders appear to believe so. But settling with Trump would also cost CBS some of its hard-won credibility. The interview that got CBS sued stemmed from 60 Minutes' correspondent Bill Whitaker's sit-down last October with Harris. Observers noted that CBS aired two different answers from Harris to a single question about why Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was, quote-unquote, not listening to the United States. The answer Harris gave in a preview clip offered from the answer she gave on the actual 60 Minutes broadcast. Trump and his allies claimed that CBS had manipulated the interview to make the vice president look better. As criticism mounted and Trump threatened to sue, CBS said there was nothing nefarious about the editing. The interview was not doctored, and the news magazine, quote, did not hide any part of the vice president's answer to the question at the issue. CBS News Senior VP for Legal Affairs Gail C. Sproul said. Gail also cited case law that defends editing and news judgments, noting that, quote, editing is a necessity for all broadcasters to enable them to present the news in the time available, and that was what 60 Minutes did here, as it does with its other reports, unquote. But Trump sued anyway. His lawyers filed a complaint to the U.S. District Court in the Northern District of Texas, alleging CBS violated the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act, a consumer protection law. Legal experts contacted by CNN at the time called the suit frivolous, ridiculous junk, and laughable on its face. From the alleged damages, $10 billion, to the decision to give Fox News the scoop about the suit, it had all the hallmarks of a political PR stunt. But a few days after the suit was filed, Trump won the election. All of a sudden, the suit posed a serious threat to the news division's parent company, Paramount Global, according to a person involved in the matter. That's because the merger requires the blessing of the Trump administration, in part because CBS owns local stations that are licensed by the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. Outside analysts, citing Trump's transactional nature, predicted that Paramount may have a hard time getting the necessary federal approvals. Brendan Carr, who Trump promoted to chair the FCC, recently reviewed a pro-Trump group's complaint about the 60 Minutes interview. Back in November, he said the complaint would probably factor into the agency's review of the Paramount-Skydance deal. That's the merger. Paramount and Skydance are trying to do a merger. On Friday, CBS confirmed that the FCC sent the company a, quote, letter of inquiry, unquote, asking the network to hand over the unedited transcript and tapes of the Harris interview. Quote, we are working to comply with that inquiry as we are legally compelled to do so, unquote, a CBS spokesperson told CNN. As an FCC license holder, CBS is obliged to respond to reasonable requests from the government agency, but those requests are typically about technicalities like broadcast transmission signals, not the raw materials of a news program like 60 Minutes. The notion of Paramount caving to Trump has sparked condemnation after the Wall Street Journal 2 weeks ago reported that settlement talks were a possibility. Senator Bernie Sanders urged CBS to stand tall. Sanders wrote on X, quote, CBS may be reaching a legal settlement with Trump because he didn't like how a campaign interview with Kamala was edited. Really? If CBS caves, the belief that we have an independent media protected by the First Amendment is undermined, unquote. Trump's history of bullying media companies suggests that a payout by Paramount won't stop his pressure campaigns. In the weeks before his inauguration, ABC agreed to donate $15 million to Trump's future presidential library to settle a defamation lawsuit against the network. Earlier this week, Meta agreed to a $22 million payout over another Trump lawsuit. Like I said before, why is it they're afraid of this guy? Okay? Why? Or is it just that greed supersedes anything? You know, Trump offers them money. Yeah, we'll take it. They don't care how it looks. I mean, you see how money just cripples a fucking government. Okay? You see how that happens. You can't get integrity in a government when it's awash with cash. You can't get honesty in a government when it's awash with cash. Okay? You just can't. The fucking money is just what is killing this country. Pure and simple. The root of the fucking problem. Goddamn greed. That's why it's one of the 7 deadly sins. It's more than a sin. It brings down society. When you allow something like that to go unreined. When people are just so obsessed with that fucking dollar, everything goes out the window. All right, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
He was the first president elected with the help of a hostile foreign power. That's not a hoax. It's the conclusion of the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee and every national security agency. And what did the Russians get helping elect Trump in 2016? Turns out they got a lot. For decades, the greatest adversary of the Soviet Union and Vladimir Putin's Russia was the Republican Party. Now the Republican Party is the heart of pro-Putin movement in American politics. That's why Donald Trump nominated Tulsi Gabbard, Moscow's sweetheart, for a critical national intelligence position. That's why he loves J.D. Vance's vicious attacks on Ukrainian freedom fighters. What happened to Republicans standing for freedom? Tens of thousands of Americans died fighting a European dictator. Now, an American president embraces a dictator at war with freedom. When Donald Trump was inaugurated, remember who else was celebrating? Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. together again.
Did you know that baking soda and ice cold water is the crucial secret to reach firmness? Just go to the kitchen and do this before going to bed.
I never stopped to think about that.
Exactly. It's simple if you think about it. There's no miracle. The only thing that makes a man firm is increasing blood flow to that area.
That's what the famous blue pills do, right?
Yes, but they do it by dilating the veins. That's why they don't solve the problem permanently. There's only one way to permanently fix this problem without relying on pills, prescriptions, pumps, or exercises, and that's by clearing out the veins that are clogged with plaques. That's why the Indian doctor is getting so popular in the media. He discovered an Indian bull trick that can clear out more than 93% of the plaques. This brings 20 times more blood flow to the area for men. That's why this trick is so effective. A top research team at Johns Hopkins University investigated and confirmed that this trick works for any man, regardless of age. There are already over 62,000 men in America alone who have permanently reversed the problem.
When I saw that I could get firm again without taking any pills, I couldn't believe it. It had been years since I was able to perform.
For over 6 years, I couldn't stay firm. My marriage was terrible, and my wife left me, and we got divorced. That's when I found the Indian bull trick recipe, and I still can't believe I'm firmer than when I was 18. Now I'm dating a woman 20 years younger than me, and she's very satisfied with my performance.
That's incredible.
I told you it's something innovative, and it's been proven to work for any man. I'll leave the link to the free class here for anyone who wants to see it. So, click the button below and watch the free video with the full recipe.
But why isn't anyone talking about this in the media?
This trick was recently discovered, and since it was found, blue pill sales have dropped by over 60% in India. The industry is very worried that this natural trick will become popular in America. That's why they're doing everything they can to keep it from being publicized. This free class has already been taken down twice, and it's close to being taken down for the 3rd time. And this time, it looks like it will be permanent. So this could be the last chance for those who need to see this information. Click the button below and watch the free class with the complete step-by-step guide.
A message for the U.S. Senate. Every action has consequences, and senators who vote for Trump's Project 2025 agenda are about to learn that. Trump's tariff plan is going to hit American families hard, and you'll be to blame. His team wants to end the biggest veterans health care program, and you'll be the ones who said our men and women who served lose their coverage. You'll be the ones who give billionaires like George Soros and Elon Musk huge tax cuts and screw middle-class workers. And don't be fooled. Elon and Trump are asking you to make cuts that hurt your state, your voters, real people. Not to save money, but to move it away from your state and into their pockets and to their friends and allies.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Okay, so I have another video here. This one is from Brian Tyler Cohen, and he is going to be discussing about Trump purging the FBI, essentially, to replace people that are loyal to him. So let's go to that, and we'll come back and discuss it.
This is Democracy Watch. Mark, we've got a dangerous update here as far as Trump purging the government of federal officials is concerned. I'm going to put a tweet from Ken Delaney from NBC up on the screen. Several top FBI executives promoted by Director Christopher Wray were told today to resign or retire and told that they will be demoted or reassigned if they don't leave. This includes about half a dozen executive assistant directors, who are some of the Bureau's top managers. They oversee criminal, national security, and cyber investigations. They are career civil servants, so cannot be fired without cause. And then we have an update to that tweet where the Washington Post is reporting that it's not just several top FBI executives, it's actually hundreds of FBI agents that may be included in this as well. First and foremost, Ken Delaney had mentioned in his tweet that these are career civil servants. They cannot be fired without cause. So how is Trump able to do this and just fire these folks en masse without cause?
Yeah, he's not legally able to do it, but this is part of a larger disturbing trend we have been seeing now over the last few days. Remember, we saw them fire prosecutors who were connected to Jack Smith. Right. Remember, we saw the essentially the go home and don't come back, don't call us, we'll call you loyalty suspensions of people in the national security apparatus. And of course, we have seen the completely unlawful acts of the administration to try to freeze funding, right? So we are seeing across the board an effort to replace career civil servants, particularly those that are in national security, that are in the Department of Justice, that are in the FBI. We are seeing a systematic effort to target them and replace them with Donald Trump's loyalists. And we also saw news that more than a half dozen FBI field office directors, right? These are the top agents who run the field offices of the FBI out in the states, that they are also being targeted. So I think before all is said and done, we're going to see Donald Trump try to replace not just the U.S. attorneys with his political cronies, some of which you've already seen, but also, as you say, the top echelon of the FBI, the top echelon of the intelligence operations, the top echelons of the people who run the immigration courts, another group that we've talked about. We're going to see them try to target all of these people, and they don't care that there are rules that protect these people. They don't care that there are civil service rules. They want to replace these people, and they are going to fire first or intimidate first and ask questions later, because that is what authoritarians do. And Donald Trump is an authoritarian.
So in terms of recourse here, first of all, are the only people who can actually seek a remedy here, are these the people that were impacted themselves? So if we're going to see these people retain their jobs or bring suit so that they can rectify this issue, it has to be the people themselves who were fired. And then the follow-up to that, if that is the case, what if they don't have the resources to go up against Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the federal government?
Right. And even worse than that, what if they are afraid that Donald Trump will tell Kash Patel to open a criminal investigation into them?
Right.
Right. What if he tells the Department of Justice, the new Attorney General, hey, anyone who doesn't cooperate with us, why don't you dig into their emails? Why don't you dig into their documents? Why don't you open a grand jury investigation into their taxes? Right. So the threat that's being faced by these government officials is not just the cost of bringing litigation, but it is the cost to them of having a weaponized federal government, a weaponized Department of Justice, a weaponized IRS, going after them. And, they also face the possible risk that Donald Trump and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and others will say, fine, we're not going to fire you. We're going to demote you. We're going to attack your pension. Right. We're going to attack your credibility. We're going to unleash the hordes of trolls, or even worse, on the outside against you. So the level of intimidation that we are starting to see unfold, or the threat of the level of intimidation that we're going to start to see unfold, is like nothing we have seen in recent times. We've already seen large segments of the business community not stand up to Donald Trump. We have seen large segments of the legacy media not willing to stand up to Donald Trump. So let me ask you this. If a billionaire is not willing to stand up to Donald Trump, if the owner of a multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar legacy media organization is not willing to stand up to Donald Trump, if the well-known hosts not singling out any by name, if the well-known hosts of cable news shows are not willing to stand up to Donald Trump, it's really a lot to be asking these individual FBI agents or prosecutors, or for that matter, people who work in other parts of the federal government, for them to stand up. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I think everybody needs to stand up. I think now is the time to steel our spines. Now is the time not to back down. Now is the time to show courage. But you know, you have to ask yourself, if you're in their shoes and you're looking around saying, who else is standing up to Donald Trump? Why should I be the one?
Do you think that we may be more likely to see some of these otherwise anonymous folks actually stand up against Trump because they're not overexposed? They're not leveraged by virtue of other properties that require sign off with the federal government. Like, we've talked about how, you know, you have these billionaires with their hands in 10, 20, 30 different projects, and you think that they're these all-powerful beings, but in fact, because they have so much exposure in front of the federal government, they're actually weaker than folks like you. You know, like when we talk about legacy media versus independent media, you can do what Jeff Bezos and the billionaire owner of the LA Times can't do, because they have other projects in front of the federal government. So you can go to Donald Trump and say, fuck you, in the way that they can't say that. But so for that exact reason, do you think that these folks who are at the FBI may be more predisposed to being able to stand up to him because they don't have other projects that require Donald Trump's sign off in the federal government?
I think some of them, yeah. I mean, I think, look, if there's one thing that we learned throughout the Trump era, is that heroes tend to come from the places you don't expect it. The heroes didn't come from the Republican appointees. The heroes didn't come from the cabinet. The heroes came from Shea Moss, right? Yeah. Who stood up. The heroes in the Trump administration, I mean, they didn't come from, you know, the chief of staff. They came from Cassidy Hutchinson, right? Who, despite her proximity to power, was actually in a very low level position, right? But she was willing to be the one to stand up and do the right thing. Right. And so I think you may very well be right that we will actually see the line FBI agents, the line prosecutors, the people who don't have, as you say, the are not leveraged against the federal government, are not trying to write a book because they are high-ranking government officials. They may very well be the ones who wind up being the heroes of the next story. And it's important that we have those heroes' backs. You know, I was a big critic of all of the praise that was lauded on the likes of Brad Raffensperger. Brad Raffensperger is just a Republican vote suppressor who didn't commit a felony on behalf of Donald Trump. But the real heroes were the Shea Mosses. The real heroes were the Cassidy Hutchinsons. The real heroes were the people who didn't have exalted positions of power and who stood up. And I think you're seeing that right now. You know, you mentioned the media. Right now, the folks who are standing up to Donald Trump and his administration are the members of the independent media. It's not the Jeff Bezoses. It's not the CBS Newses. It's not the ABC Newses. It's not the multi-billion-dollar corporations. It is the folks who have committed that they are, in times of great turmoil and trouble in this country, going to say, I am not going to bow down. I am not going to obey. One of the things that you and I did that seemed to capture the public's imagination almost more than anything else and go somewhat viral is when I said, I can say to Donald Trump, fuck you. And Jeff Bezos can't. And Elon Musk can't. And now I could add a lot of other people. Mark Zuckerberg can't. Sherry Redstone can't. The heads of ABC News, they can't. I don't think anyone at CNN would be willing to do that. But I can say that on your YouTube channel, and you can publish it. And that makes us more powerful than all of those billionaires, than all of those cable news executives, than they'll ever be.
Perfectly put. And again, that underscores the importance of supporting fearless, independent journalism like yours at Democracy Docket. I'll put the link to Democracy Docket right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Again, for those who are watching right now, if you want to support those who are actually willing to meet this moment with the urgency it deserves, please make sure to sign up for Democracy Docket. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
Okay. Well, I think we can understand here what he's doing here, okay? And this was probably something that we should have expected. Because look, if a guy is a criminal, right, and he's a felon, he's a convicted criminal, and he's always doing illegal shit here, and he's only been in office for a couple weeks, so if we got a guy like that as president in this country, okay, clearly he's going to be breaking laws, and he doesn't want any Boy Scouts around him that are going to hold him to any fucking accountability, right? So what does he have to do? He's got to get rid of people who are the Boy Scouts, and I use the word Boy Scouts as meaning people who are loyal to the rule of law. Okay, all right, that's what people call a Boy Scout. You know, individuals who can't be bought. You know, like Superman or something like that. Okay, Boy Scouts, and he wants to get rid of all of those people. Okay, and replace as many as he can with people who will kiss the ring, who will profess their loyalty to Trump, only follow his orders, only do the things he wants them to do, whether it breaks the existing laws or not. That's what he wants, because he knows that people are going to be getting angrier and angrier and angrier at him as time goes on. Okay, we already know that MAGA people are the most violent people. I mean, it was Republican people who were trying to kill him during his campaign for president, or so it looked. We know January 6th, MAGA stormed the goddamn Capitol, right? Got some police officers killed in the process. They brought guns, they brought weapons, they were hitting cops with flagpoles and hockey sticks and all kinds of shit, okay? I mean, they busted in the door, they shit on the floor. These people were like wild animals that went in there. Okay? So, knowing this, that, you get these people, because a lot of the things that he's going to be doing is going to affect them too, not just Democrats, but Republicans. They're finding that out right now. Well, what do you think's going to happen when things really start to get worse here as we get closer to the end of the year? He should be expecting that these same people that he had as his allies to go and raise all merry hell are going to turn on him. Well, he's going to want FBI people around him that he could say, look, you go find out this person, who that is and everything, whether they did anything yet or not, okay? Find out what he's doing, who he's talking to, what he's saying, maybe online, look at his media and see what he's saying. Find these people, okay? And what reason has anybody got to say, well, no, you can't do that because that's violating people's privacy? Who's going to stand up to him when he gets so powerful that he can issue, orders like that and people will do it? Okay? I mean, Christ, he got the Supreme Court in his pocket, they got his back. So, these things happening, it's really, it makes sense to me that he would be wanting to have his own little Gestapo, around him to be his avenging angels, as it were, in case somebody or people are talking bad against him. I mean, Christ, look, he's already got CBS and Paramount sweating bullets right now, where they're trying to talk about a settlement with him instead of taking it to court. They figure, well, we can't win this in court. That's what they're thinking, because he's got lawyers, he's got the Supreme Court, and at the end of the day, he'll win. That's what they're thinking. But this is the reason why that's why he's purging FBI, and they're talking about hundreds of agents. And, executive managers, that he wants to get rid of. I mean, this is part, in play of what was written in that Project 2025 manifesto about wanting to surround himself with people that are loyal to the administration and not so much to the rules of which they're supposed to conduct themselves under. But, those kind of rules, civil service rules, they don't matter to people like Trump who think like fucking dictators. I mean, they're just hurdles in the way But, what's happening here is, he's taking the government, not only is he taking it apart, but he's trying to reassemble it as a shield around himself, all right, to protect himself from what other plans he has yet to come that he knows probably won't work now if he implements them. But if he waits until everything else is laid in place, like getting loyalty, people loyal, like a wall around him of loyal people, and power consolidated in his arms, okay, then he'll be able to implement some things that he knows people ain't going to like in this country, and that's when shit's going to happen, okay? That's when shit's going to happen where, people are going to start getting violent. They're going to start going after anybody that's got a badge, or go after anybody that's in a uniform, or go after anybody that's a politician. They're all going to be targets, okay? That's what he's getting himself ready for, I think. And that's why he's doing all this shit now. Okay? He's creating a wall of protection around him. And he knows if he doesn't have that wall, the FBI will just as likely turn on him for all the rules he's breaking, the laws he's breaking. It's too bad that we can't be like South Korea. Like when they went and arrested their own president, for staging a coup. That wouldn't happen here. I don't think it would happen here. Which goes to show you kind of, how we gauge, ourselves as being a democracy, and yet this other country that we never really looked at as a democracy seems to be able to do that particular thing very well, holding their leaders accountable. We should be able to do that here. Why wait until something's done, that's going to be, that we'll all regret, before we decide, okay, let's do whatever we have to do to get him out of office. That's why I'm saying, I'm hoping anyway, that at some point, the military will have to step in, I guess, and say, look, Trump, this is it. Okay, we have to say enough is enough, okay? You can't do any more of this. This is completely against anything that everything this country stands for. You can't stay in office like this, okay? You'll have to be removed or do something. Hold him accountable in some do like what they did with Nixon, okay? Nixon was backed into a corner where the only way he could survive what he had done was to resign. That's what we have to do to Trump. We have to put him in a corner, basically, by whatever means we can. Okay, and at the point of, where, he'd be looking out the Oval Office window, and he'll see a horde of people out there ready to just storm the Capitol and go after him personally. You know what I'm saying? It would have to come to something like that where Trump would have no choice but to resign. Okay, or put him in a position where an impeachment would be possible. Okay, I don't know, but it would seem to me like, hey, better minds than mine, who understand constitutional law, who understand the details, the intricacies, the nuances of politics, would be able to figure out a way to, basically cage him in somehow, where, his power would be kind of plucked away from him, and basically just kind of put on perpetual hold until such matters are dealt with and rectified. In the meantime, it would put a pause to all this chaos he's created, which would not be so quickly able to, we could undo. I mean, once you start the ball rolling and things like this, it's, it's harder to stop it, and I think, somebody had said that once on a BBC talk show that I had watched here a week or two ago, about how, that the longer Trump is in office and he's doing these things, the harder it's going to be to undo it, because a lot of these things, they get started and it just kind of creates a life on its own, especially when you're going after other countries the way he's doing it. our reputation gets smeared. And even if we get a new president that's Democrat and it says, okay, I want to undo, countries we've already damaged the relationship between us and other countries. How could they ever trust us again? Already he's undoing everything that we made agreements that this country was going to do for a lot of different things, like the climate issue and stuff. He's pulled us out of that again. Okay. How can we possibly lead the world in anything when every time we change a president, what we agreed to under him, we're going to break under this guy? I wouldn't want to deal with somebody like that. I certainly wouldn't want to deal with a corporation that's always changing its boss all the fucking time, and changing the value of my stock every time we have a new boss. I mean, I'd say, fuck this company. I'm going to go somewhere where it's a little more stable and predictable here. Christ, this guy, this place, you don't even know whether there's shit or go sailing, But that's the way the United States is. We've had a one-term Trump presidency. We had a one-term Biden presidency. And now we're going to have seemingly another one-term Trump presidency unless he changes the rules on that. Okay? So every 4 years, the United States is on this side and then on this side and then back on this side. It's like, Jesus Christ, make up your fucking mind, people. The rest of the world is looking at us like, we're riding on a fucking rowboat here. We're like a laughingstock, and we sit here and we call ourselves a democracy, and we can't straighten it out. We all know what the problems are, right? We all know what the issues are and why it's so difficult to run this country, but there ain't a goddamn one of us that seems to have the fucking temperament or the initiative, okay, to coalesce around a movement to stop this fucking bullshit. It's sad. I would think that, people in the past, in the early days of this country had more guts to stand up against their country, probably because it wasn't such a big thing, like it is today, and it was easier to straighten our government out. But now it's a monster, and so are the elements involved with it, like corporate America. We got these two big monsters, and they're not so easy to manipulate or to overthrow as it could be done if we wanted to. It would require the help of another country or two to help us to go in there and do it, if it was going to have to come to that, because certainly our military would be fragmented. You'd have, I don't know how many different ways you could fragment it, but, certainly not everybody in the military would be on one side or the other as a whole. Okay, it would be split, it would be split. Just like it was during the Civil War, our military was fragmented. We got the North had theirs, the South had theirs, okay, and that's how it went. That would happen again, I think, but we'd also have to have help, just like the previous time. France was helping, and England, and so we had to we'd have to do that again. So we couldn't really change the government, overnight. Essentially, we couldn't do it. We'd have to have help from other countries to help us do it. And I think, that's the one thing that I think a lot of people are really worried about, is that, how the hell would we do it? How would we, if Congress can't do it and the Senate can't do it, because they're too afraid to go after Trump, then it automatically falls onto the heads of the public. Okay, we would be the ones being looked to fix this. The rest of the world would be looking to us to put a stop to this. If the military can't stop them, or, like I just said, the Senate, Congress, the Justice Department, if those entities are completely, paralyzed from doing anything, then it's up to the people. We the people. Those three words, it's going to fall on we the people to do what we have to do to undo this shit to get rid of a bad apple. Okay? And, to do something like that, you would have to get other people who are aligned with him out as well. It can't just be just Trump, okay? Because, hey, he's surrounded himself with a lot of sycophants, okay? You got Elon Musk. I mean, you'd have to take a lot of people out of the system. Get them out of government. Get their hands out of the goddamn government, okay? So, this is essentially what you'd have to do, I think, in order to undo this. And like I said, it's easier to break things apart, but it's so much more work to restore what you had. And right now, the goal is to restore our democracy, because right now we don't have it. Okay, we don't have it anymore. We lost that when we lost the White House to Trump. The United States lost its democracy, so we're not a democratic country anymore. We're an oligarchy now. We're being ruled by the rich, because, hey, who was at the inauguration? Okay, it was taken out of the public eye and put into this building, and everybody that was in there were all rich people. Okay, so that right there is like the first inauguration of a president where the only people who attended it were the goddamn oligarchs, right? The rich. That right there symbolizes what I just said. We don't have a democracy anymore. It's gone. That was taken away from us. Okay, on Inauguration Day. We lost that. So we're not that anymore. We're not the democracy that we should be. Okay, we're just not that anymore. We're being run by, our government is being controlled by the wealthy. Okay, and they have one of its own sitting in the White House yet again. Okay, yet again. And guess who's got his attention? It ain't us. He ain't listening to us. No, we're just ants at a picnic here. He's got plans to get rid of people, not just immigrants now. Don't fucking think that he's only going to come after immigrants, okay? Once he's cleared all the immigrants out of this country, there's still going to be more people he's going to want to clear out of the country. Anybody who says anything about him that ain't nice or that he can't stand, he's going to have ears out there listening for people who do that sort of thing, okay? Because that's what Hitler did, right? He controlled all the press. I remember when did he buy out one press company in Germany, and he converted it to printing nothing but his stuff, sort of like became like Fox News for Adolf Hitler, okay? And they were only supposed to print propaganda from him. All the other news outlets, I guess they were just, no, you're done. Close your doors. You're out of here. And that was the only news that they could get in Germany, was that, okay? Russia does that. Okay, they do that shit. So, that's what's going to happen here too. I mean, if Trump is the kind of person that can't stand anyone making fun of him or joking or, anything, because we know he doesn't like, because Obama really pissed him off. That's why he still bitches about Obama, because Obama really got under his fucking skin, okay, when he was president. He really did, and Trump hated his guts for that. But he's a guy who's very sensitive to criticism, and so he will do what he has to do to get even with people when they step on his toes, I guess, if you call it. But the freedom of speech is not going to be something that he's going to give two shits about, all right? And that's going to go for anybody, really, not just, people who don't like Trump, but people who do. But, hey, you say anything that sounds like you said something bad about Trump, and you'd probably find yourself on a bus to somewhere in Guantanamo, and that's what'll happen. Okay, so people, it's going to be a very, very oppressive society in days to come. And if the media can't stand up to him, then what the fuck else do we have? What can we do if our own goddamn media doesn't have the guts to stand up to that son of a bitch? I mean, how the hell are we supposed to the only thing we can do is be violent. But, you know, the media, I mean, Christ, the media of all of it combined has to have more wealth than Donald Trump. I mean, Jesus, think about that for a minute. It's not like this guy has endless chests of cash. I don't know. It's really weird how people are just laying down in front of him. You know, I guess it was kind of that, people were thinking that way about Hitler at first. You know, he was a guy who was broke, homeless. Okay, he tried to be an artist, but he couldn't sell anything because his art wasn't that great. Okay, he had no influence, but he had a mouth. And people saw, oh, we can make this guy something, you know, we could get ourselves into power by using him. Okay? The problem was he got so powerful that he, from what he was saying and stuff like that, that, you know, he actually became a threat to the people that pushed him into the limelight, you know? Well, that's kind of like Trump in a way. I mean, yeah, he was wealthy to start with. He wasn't homeless. Okay? But he was no fucking threat to anybody. Christ, you know, he was just a damn TV show personality, and he had some failed business ventures. I mean, but, you know, he was nothing. You know, just a guy with money. I mean, without the money, he'd be white trash on the street somewhere, because that's just about what he is. Okay? But yet, everybody's laying in front of him. And I just can't, I'll never understand that. You know, what the fuck is making people so scared of this bastard? I mean, sure, now he's the president. But before that, people were already scared of him then. I just don't see it. I really don't. What I see is a buffoon, okay? I see an old man who's at the end of his life, okay? If he lives another 4 years, it'll be a goddamn miracle, okay? Because his health is like shot. You could see it, and how he talks, how he look in his face is a really good indicator of his health failing him. Because he's like, you know, he's just sagging, and he's overweight, and you know, it's amazing he can play golf. You know, I guess, you know, the golf cart really takes a lot of stress off your body when you're not walking, but to be able to go outside and swing a golf club for a guy his age, I mean, it takes a lot of energy, I suppose. But, you know, what the hell? I mean, he ain't going to be around forever. If he, like, people are already saying he may not even make it through this term in office. I mean, you know, he could keel over at any time from a heart attack because he don't eat right. But who knows? All right. Anyway, so that's it for today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the weekend. So subscribe, comment, share. Keep your ears open for health issues, and please treat each other nice out there. Work together as a community to help each other out, because it's going to come to the point where we're all going to have to get into the habit of doing that, because the federal government is probably not going to be so easily got to in order to help us out. So I'll talk to everybody later, so take care. Bye-bye.